Nidal Hasan was born in Arlington County, Virginia in 1970, born of Palestinian descent. He was raised of Muslim faith with his younger brothers and attended Wakefield High School in Arlington in 1985. His family moved over to Roanoke, Virginia in 1986 to join his father, who had moved over a year earlier to set up family-owned businesses. From there, Hasan attended Fleming High School and graduated in 1988. After graduating, Hasan enlisted in the U.S. Army. During his enlistment, he attended college and earned an associate's degree in science from Virginia Western Community College in 1992. He ended up gaining his bachelor's degree in biochemistry from Virginia Tech in 1995. In 1997, Hasan was commissioned as an officer in the Army Medical Department. He then enrolled at the Uniformed Services University of Health Sciences in Bethesda, Maryland. At the time, he was barely passing and was put on academic probation during much of the 6 years he was there to complete a 4-year curriculum to graduate medical school. When Hasan graduated, he completed an internship and residency in psychiatry at Walter Reed Army Medical Center. He ended this training with a 2-year fellowship in disaster and preventative psychiatry with a master's degree in public health. While he was completing this training, he received counseling and extra supervision. While in his senior year of residency at Walter Reed, Hasan made a presentation called The Quranic Worldview as it relates to Muslims in the U.S. military. It was not well received by those in attendance. He made the suggestion that the Department of Defense should allow Muslim soldiers the option of being released as conscientious objectors to increase troop morale and decrease any adverse effects. A retired colonel, Terry Lee, recalled that a fatal shooting of 2 recruiters in Little Rock, Arkansas, affected Hasan. The suspect of the shooting claimed to be an al-Qaeda terrorist and was charged with murder. He also noticed that Hasan had made outlandish remarks against the American military presence in Iraq and Afghanistan, and believed that Muslims should fight against the aggressor, referencing American soldiers. Hasan was angry and argued with soldiers and had hoped that President Barack Obama would withdraw the troops. Even with these issues growing, Hasan was promoted to major in May 2009. In July of that year, he was transferred to Darnall Army Medical Center in Fort Hood, Texas, and moved into an undesirable area of Killeen, Texas. 2 weeks after moving, he purchased an FN Herstall 5.7mm handgun. It is important to note that before his transfer, Hasan was given a poor performance evaluation from his supervisors and medical faculty. Although he had received this review, his former Army boss, Lieutenant Colonel Ben Phillips, had graded his performance as outstanding. Hasan's cousin, a Virginia attorney, felt that Hasan wasn't disenchanted with the military, but rather he dreaded war after counseling soldiers with post-traumatic stress disorder. He was terrified of the possibility of being deployed after hearing the daily horrors the soldiers had to endure. Hasan's cousin also stated that Hasan was harassed by fellow soldiers. Hasan went so far as to hire a military attorney to help resolve issues, pay back the government, and get out of the military for good. Hasan's aunt also made the claim that Hasan had been harassed due to his Islamic faith. The Army and the Deputy Director of the American Muslim Armed Forces and Veteran Affairs Council stated that this reported harassment was inconsistent with their records. Hasan's uncle claimed that Hasan was a gentle and quiet man. He was deeply sensitive, so much so that he mourned the loss of a pet bird for months after it had died. Another cousin of Hasan stated that due to being Muslim, Hasan did not want to go to Afghanistan or Iraq due to not wanting to be exposed to the violence and death. When the family would meet up, they never talked politics, but Hasan would complain that he was treated like a Muslim, an Arab, rather than an American, and that he was discriminated against for this reason. In August 2009, according to a Killeen, Texas police report, Hasan's vehicle was vandalized with a key, causing $1,000 worth of damage. A soldier was charged for the damage, and a neighbor claimed the vehicle was vandalized due to Hasan's religion. Government agents that were monitoring Islamic websites believe that Hasan posted about suicide bombings in May 2009 under the username Nidal Hasan as one word. During this period, though, the agents did not link the posts to Hasan. The postings made under this username compared a suicide bomber to a soldier jumping on a grenade to save his troop, that it was a sacrifice for a noble cause. Later on, ABC News reported that anonymous government agents issued a press release that they were allegedly aware that Hasan attempted to contact Al-Qaeda and had even more unexplained connections to people tracked by the FBI. Hasan's business cards contained the acronyms SOA, SWT. When investigators looked into this, they found the acronym SOA used on jihadist websites to mean Soldier of Allah, and that SWT was a term used to mean glory to God. Hasan's computer and email account showed visits to websites that posted radical Islamic ideas. At one point, Hasan expressed concern over the former actions of some soldiers he evaluated. Not long after he had been transferred, he asked his supervisors and Army legal advisors on how he should be handling reports of the soldiers' actions in Afghanistan and Iraq that he was disturbed by. Despite his concerns over the actions and his own fears of being deployed, Hasan was scheduled to deploy to Afghanistan on November 28th of 2009. Hasan was stressed about this and worried that being a psychiatrist he may have to fight or even kill fellow Muslims. On the morning of November 5th, 2009, Hasan started giving away furniture, telling people he was being deployed that Friday. Along with his furniture, he gave out copies of the Quran. A Muslim officer at Fort Hood said that he had prayed with Hasan that morning, and that Hasan appeared relaxed, not at all nervous or troubled. At approximately 1:34, Hasan entered the Soldier Readiness Processing Center at Fort Hood, a facility in which medical treatment was given to personnel before leaving for and returning from deployment. Due to his upcoming deployment, he had been to this facility numerous times before. He was armed with the FN Herstol handgun he had purchased when he transferred and had it fitted with 2 laser sights, one red and one green, along with a massive amount of ammunition and pistol magazines. He also had a Smith & Wesson .357 Magnum revolver, but would not be using this weapon. As he entered the facility, he went to the first desk on the right and asked to see Major Parrish, the soldier who had been assisting Hasan with his deployment preparations. The worker had gotten up to find Parrish, and while doing so, Hasan was reported to have walked behind the desk, and he bowed his head for a few seconds. He then looked up and shouted, "Allahu Akbar," and opened fire. Witness claimed that Hasan was shooting in a fan-like motion before taking aim at individual soldiers. Army Reserve Captain John Gaffney attempted to stop Hasan by charging him, but was mortally wounded before he could even reach him. Civilian physician assistant Michael Cahill also attempted to charge at Hasan with a chair, but was unfortunately shot and killed. Army Reserve Specialist Logan Burnett threw a folding table at Hasan, but was shot in the left hip and crawled to a nearby cubicle. Witnesses claim that Hasan would primarily target soldiers in uniform, as they weren't carrying personal firearms due to military policy. He approached civilians hiding under a desk, swept the laser sight dot over one of their faces, and then left. As Hasan continued through the building, Major Parrish and 2 other soldiers managed to escape through a broken window. Base Civilian Police Sergeant Kimberly Munley encountered Hasan outside of the facility. He fired at her and shots were exchanged. Munley was shot in the thigh and in the knee and shattered her femur. As she laid on the ground, Hasan kicked her pistol out of reach. During the shooting outside, nurses and medics entered the facility to aid the injured. According to the nurses, there were massive amounts of blood covering the floor, which caused confusion and difficulty in reaching the wounded. Outside of the building, Hasan continued shooting at fleeing soldiers until civilian police sergeant Mark Todd arrived and shouted commands at Hasan to surrender. The 2 of them exchanged shots, Hasan emptying his pistol. As Hasan reached into his pocket to grab another magazine, Todd shot Hasan 5 times, ending the rampage that killed 14, including an unborn infant, and injured 33, including Hasan. Todd ran over and kicked the pistol out of Hasan's hand and placed handcuffs on him. Hasan was taken to Scott and White Memorial Hospital and eventually moved to Brooke Army Medical Center in San Antonio, Texas, under heavy guard. Due to the shots fired by Todd, Hasan's spine was damaged and he became paraplegic. When he recovered, he was moved to the Bell County Jail in Belton, Texas. Hasan was charged with 13 counts of premeditated murder and 32 counts of attempted murder under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, making him eligible for the death penalty. In a press release, it was stated that the prosecutors would indeed seek the death penalty. On October 12, 2010, Hasan was due to appear for his first military hearing, called an Article 32 proceeding for the attack. The hearing was used to determine if there was enough evidence to court-martial Hasan and was scheduled to start calling witnesses but was delayed. On October 14th, the hearing proceeded with testimonies from witnesses and survivors. The hearing ended on November 15th, and neither the defense nor prosecution offered to deliver closing arguments. On November 18th, Hasan was recommended to be court-martialed and face the death penalty. The trial date was set for March 5, 2012, and Hasan declined to enter a plea. The presiding judge, Judge Gross, was notified that the civilian attorney for Hasan had been released, and 3 military lawyers would be representing him instead. After several more delays, the trial was rescheduled to August 20, 2012. In July of that year, after being dictated by the court to shave his beard, Hasan refused and was held in contempt of court and fined. He was fined again later for refusing to shave, and was told that he would be force-shaved prior to his court-martial. The court-martial was delayed due to Hasan's refusal to shave, stating it was part of his religious beliefs. Prosecutors claimed he was trying to delay the trial. On September 6th, Judge Gross ordered Hasan to be force-shaved after all of his appeals are exhausted. During this hearing, Hasan did offer to plead guilty, but due to the case being a death penalty case, U.S. Army policy prohibits acceptance of a guilty plea. On June 3, 2013, Hasan was allowed to represent himself with his attorney staying if needed for assistance. On the first day of trial, August 6th, he admitted that he was the attacker at Fort Hood in 2009. He stated that he had switched sides and was waging war against the U.S. military. After disagreements among the defense team, the new judge on the case, Judge Osborne, suspended the trial. He ruled that Hasan could continue to represent himself and that the standby attorneys could not take over the defense. As the trial continued, a mental health report was supplied that stated that Hasan said he would still be a martyr if he was convicted and executed. As his own representative, he offered to share the report with prosecutors, but Judge Osborne blocked the offer. On August 20th, prosecutors rested their case, and on August 22nd, Hasan declined to give a closing argument. On August 23, 2013, Hasan was convicted of all charges. Deliberations on his sentencing began shortly after, in which jurors heard testimony from victims and families. Hasan refused to speak in his defense or ask any questions. At the end, Hasan told the jurors that the defense rested its case. On August 28th, Hasan was sentenced to death. He's still sitting on death row to this day. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel for more criminal connections.